So this is ocean acidification by us in the economic, environmental, and political lenses. So my lens was the environmental lens, and there are a lot of problems with ocean acidification and its environmental effect. So the EPA stated that many organisms were affected by ocean acidification. Those included coral, mollusks, crustaceans, clams, urchins, oysters, and many more. Mussels, urchins, and crabs dissolved their shells as a result of ocean acidification. Coral calcification rate, so that's the rate at which coral makes its shell, it dropped by 32%, and mollusks calcification rate dropped by 40%. Fish were also affected by higher CO2 levels in the ocean. That's a result of ocean acidification. And what happened to them was they had cardiac arrest. The fish species, it was mainly the yellowtail species of fish that experienced cardiac arrest. And also, the way ocean acidification works is carbon dioxide emissions are absorbed by the ocean from the atmosphere, and it's anywhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of carbon dioxide emissions are absorbed by the ocean. And the higher levels of carbon dioxide means the ocean is more acidic. And the higher acidity levels leads to organisms' calcification rates getting lowered. And there's also a lower reproduction rate in coral reefs. And a solution to this, so the main causes of carbon dioxide emissions were fossil fuels. That was actually 87% of carbon dioxide emissions were caused by fossil fuels. And if we can monitor the calcification rates of affected organisms, so like crabs, lobsters, mollusks, oysters, etc., if we can monitor their calcification rates in areas we know are sensitive to ocean acidification, we can know how heavily affected they are, and then from there we can decide what measures we're going to take to fix that.
I did the economic lens, and ocean acidification is a serious problem. It affects coral reefs, which provide many economic opportunities for humanity, such as coral mining, diving, snorkeling, and it also helps real estate prices. It's also a very diverse natural ecosystem and offers coastal protection, and it also helps coral fisheries as it's a nursery for them. Scientists have said that the total economic value, or the TEV, of an Indonesian coral reef is approximately $11.9 billion, with most of that coming from value to future generations. Also, scientists have said that coral fisheries will also be affected, and they will experience loss from $49 to $69 billion. One solution that they proposed was to switch to green energy. Green energy is cheaper than its non-renewable sources. For example, hydroelectric power is 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Solar, biomass, and geothermal power are all about 10 cents per kilowatt hour, and offshore wind is the most expensive at 13 per kilowatt hour. They're all less than oil and gas, which is from 5 cents to over 15 cents per kilowatt hour. There are also lots of energy that can be harvested from these renewable sources. One example is that in one day, solar energy gets about more than twice than people use in 1 year. There are some caveats to this though. This infrastructure for these non-renewable sources are not in place yet, and some sources of energy are intermittent, which means they need backup power for when they cannot produce.
So my lens was the political perspective. So this is basically looking at the governmental acts, what they're doing, what policies they're making to help reduce ocean acidification. The country's acts, basically the whole world, what the world is doing as a whole to reduce, and what personal people are doing. So some of the problems that are brought up with the political lens are that we can't really regulate or monitor other countries' progress. So for example, one country may be making all these policies and actually making a stride in diminishing ocean acidification, while another country does nothing, and it kind of cancels out on the stalemate. Another problem is that some of the policies don't always work out. Some policies are either created ineffectively or they are implemented in the wrong way. They could have problems such as legal problems, and another problem is the lack of individual participation by citizens. This is basically the citizens not understanding that they have a big part in regulating ocean acidification. So some of the solutions to these problems for the world policies, we need to create relationships. An example of this is recently the British and the US joined the community of a bunch of other countries, forming the Ocean Acidification International Coordination Center, which is basically a center that helps relieve ocean acidification around the world. And the solution for the policies not working out is we need to take it step by step, maybe slow down our processes. We understand that ocean acidification is a pressing matter, but that does not mean we have to rush into it. It's a long process. An example of this is the legislation passed Federal Ocean Acidification and Monitoring Act in 2009. They had steps as follows: develop strategies, implement the strategies effectively, oversee the development of the strategies, facilitate them, and eventually outreach to other people. So the final solution to the final problem, we need to publicize information for the public. So one person making a stand and informing them that they can make a big difference with their little, even though they're just one person, could add up and be a good help for the entire world. This one announcement could encourage people to become potentially zero waste and lower their carbon footprint, which would be good for the whole world.
In conclusion, there are many problems such as calcification and loss in economic opportunities. There are also many solutions that people have proposed. For example, we can make policies and we can switch to green energy.
So next is our works cited.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.